Would you believe the man behind Jack Sparrow once dreamed of being a rock star, not an actor? It's true. Johnny Depp never set out to become a Hollywood legend. His first love? Music. A guitar in his hands was his way of making sense of a chaotic world. Ever felt like your dreams were too unrealistic to chase? Maybe someone once told you to get real when you shared your goals. If so, you're not alone. Johnny heard that too. And still, he ended up changing the face of cinema. Today, we're diving into how Johnny Depp went from a small-town misfit to one of the most versatile actors in the world. It's a story filled with twists, risks, heartbreaks, and a whole lot of magic. Stick around because you'll want to see just how this dreamer became an icon. Johnny Depp was born John Christopher Depp II on June 9, 1963, in Owensboro, Kentucky. His family background was working class, with his father John Depp Sr. working as a civil engineer and his mother Betty Sue Palmer working as a waitress. The family dynamic was complicated. Johnny often described his mother as a force, a woman who could be nurturing one moment and extremely abusive the next. He endured physical and emotional pain growing up, much of which he later channeled into his performances. As a child, Johnny developed a sensitivity to the world around him. That, combined with the instability of constantly moving over 20 times before he turned 15, created a sense of alienation. He found solace not in social circles, but in solitude. When he was 12, his mother gave him a guitar. That moment changed his life. Music wasn't just a hobby, it became his sanctuary. He taught himself how to play, often locking himself in his room for hours, exploring the sounds he could make, learning from records and mimicking the styles of his idols like Bob Dylan, Keith Richards, and Jim Morrison. Music was not only his creative outlet, it was a shield against the turbulence of his home life. The guitar became his most trusted friend, a constant presence as everything else shifted around him. His parents divorced when he was 15, and though painful, it was a turning point. He described it as the moment he decided to take control of his own path, no matter how unconventional it might be. By 16, Johnny dropped out of high school to become a musician. He joined a local band, The Kids, and together they played gigs across Florida, gaining a modest local following. The band later moved to Los Angeles, believing they were just a few steps away from a record deal. They lived frugally, sharing cramped apartments, sleeping on floors, and scraping by with odd jobs. Johnny even sold pens over the phone to make ends meet. It was a hard grind, but he believed in the dream. Acting wasn't even on the radar until fate stepped in. Through his first wife, Lori Ann Allison, Johnny was introduced to Nicolas Cage, who saw something unique in the young musician. Cage encouraged him to audition for roles, sensing that Johnny's look, intensity, and presence might translate well on screen. Reluctantly, Johnny gave it a shot. His first audition landed him a role in Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street in 1984. It wasn't a massive part, but it was memorable. He played Glenn, the boyfriend who gets sucked into a bed and turned into a geyser of blood. The experience was surreal. For Johnny, it was both a door opening and a strange new world he hadn't intended to walk into. Despite the success of Elm Street, Johnny didn't rush into acting full-time. He still considered himself a musician first, but more acting opportunities began to roll in, and when he landed the role of Officer Tom Hansen in 21 Jump Street, everything changed. The TV show became a massive hit, and Johnny quickly became a teen idol. Posters of him were plastered on bedroom walls across America. But instead of enjoying the fame, he grew increasingly disillusioned. He resented being pigeonholed as just another pretty face. He wanted depth. He wanted roles that challenged him, characters with complexity, with darkness, with soul. And so, at the height of his fame, he did the unthinkable. He walked away from the mainstream. He began seeking out roles in independent films, smaller productions that allowed him to stretch his range. This move led him to director Tim Burton, with whom he formed one of the most iconic actor-director partnerships in film history. Their first collaboration, Edward Scissorhands, 1990, showcased a different Johnny Depp, vulnerable, strange, delicate. The role was a breakthrough. Johnny wasn't just acting. He was embodying an archetype, becoming a figure of misunderstood beauty and sadness. The film allowed him to express all the emotions he had internalized for years, and it resonated with audiences deeply. From there, Johnny continued to take risks. He played eccentric roles in films like Benny and June, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, and Dead Man. Each performance was marked by nuance, intensity, and a refusal to conform. He worked with auteurs like Jim Jarmusch, Lasse Hallström, and Roman Polanski, choosing scripts based on instinct rather than box office potential. When he starred in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas as Hunter S. Thompson, a personal friend and mentor, the performance was electrifying. He wasn't just playing Thompson, he was channeling him. Their friendship had a profound impact on Johnny, and he later funded the launch of Thompson's ashes into the sky via cannon, honoring his memory in the most fittingly outrageous way. Then came Pirates of the Caribbean in 2003, and everything exploded. Jack Sparrow wasn't just a role, it was a phenomenon, but it didn't come easily. Disney executives were initially horrified by Johnny's portrayal. He slurred his speech, staggered about, and spoke with a strange accent. They feared it would alienate audiences, but Johnny remained firm. He believed Jack should be unpredictable, a bit mad, and oddly charming. He modeled the character after Keith Richards and Looney Tunes' Pepe Le Pew, combining swagger, humor, and mystery. Audiences loved it. Jack Sparrow became one of the most beloved characters in cinema history, earning Johnny an Oscar nomination and cementing his place in the pantheon of Hollywood greats. Behind the scenes, Johnny was meticulous. He contributed to costume design, helped shape dialogue, and wrote backstory elements for his characters that never even made it on screen, just so he could fully inhabit the role. For Jack Sparrow, he created elaborate histories about shipwrecks, lost loves, and betrayals. That level of commitment wasn't just method acting, it was soul work. He brought similar depth to roles in Finding Neverland, Sweeney Todd, Public Enemies, and Black Mass, where he portrayed notorious gangster Whitey Bulger with chilling precision. Even as he climbed to the highest echelons of Hollywood stardom, Johnny never abandoned his love for music. He formed the rock supergroup Hollywood Vampires with Alice Cooper and Joe Perry, performing at festivals and keeping the spirit of classic rock alive. He often collaborated with other musicians, appearing on albums, joining impromptu jams, and staying close to his roots. To Johnny, the guitar was never far from reach. It was a reminder of who he was before the fame. His personal life, however, often mirrored the chaos of his characters. He endured a series of tumultuous relationships, the most public of which was with actress Amber Heard. Their breakup and the subsequent legal battles made global headlines and cast a shadow over his career. But even in those moments, Johnny maintained a sense of vulnerability and raw honesty in public statements, always returning to his art as a source of healing. His fans remained fiercely loyal, and in many ways the controversies only deepened. His mythos. What's perhaps most remarkable is Johnny's ability to remain grounded in spite of it all. He has spoken often about feeling like an outsider, a misfit, someone who never fully belongs. That sense of otherness has given his characters a rare authenticity. Whether he's playing a reclusive writer, a deranged barber, a drunken pirate, or a grieving father, there's always a thread of truth running through his performance, something deeply human and often heartbreaking. Johnny once said that he doesn't act to be seen but to disappear. That sums up his career. He's never been about fame. He's been about transformation. He becomes the roles, lives in them, loses himself in them. That's why his characters linger long after the credits roll. So let's turn the spotlight on you for a second. What was your childhood dream? Is it still tucked away in a journal? Still dancing around in your head late at night? Maybe you wanted to write books, become a pilot, paint murals, open a cafe, or travel the world. Whatever. It's never too late. Johnny's story is proof that paths aren't always straight. Detours matter. Setbacks shape us. Sometimes your first dream leads you to your real purpose, even if it takes years to understand why. If Johnny Depp's journey moved you, inspired you, or reminded you of something you'd forgotten, share it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Because you never know, your story might just be the spark that inspires someone else. And if Johnny Depp's story inspired you, then don't miss our next video on how Keanu Reeves stayed kind in a cruel industry. It's another powerful journey you won't want to skip. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more feel-good deep dives, and hit that bell so you don't miss what's next. Until then, chase your passions, stay a little weird, and remember, it's never too late to become who you were meant to be. From dreamer to icon. That's the Johnny Depp story.